This is going to be a pretty short video because I'm actually going out of town tomorrow, and I'm finishing up a bunch of stuff first. And I've got a lot of videos to edit in my free time over the coming days, so I'll try to keep some uploads to the channel. Though if I go silent, it's because I'm having too much fun. I apologize in advance. Anyway, this is a 1980 Fender Twin Reverb, silver panel, master volume, pull switch, boost, all that stuff. And everything in it is totally original. And I've already done the inspection, which I don't have time to show on video. But even with the original filter caps, nothing is bulging, nothing is leaking, everything tests okay. I told the owner that while I do recommend having that service done preemptively, just kind of monitor the amp over the coming 5 years. And if you begin to hear a graininess to the sound or a hum, or it just doesn't feel right, bring it back. But that cost can be deferred some point in the next 5 years. You know, budget is always a consideration. Not everyone has time to do a full, or the money to do a full recap of an amplifier, which typically is an every 20 years kind of thing. So if you see me do recap after recap after recap after recap on Fenders, it's not that every amp needs a recap, it's just that every amp pretty much needs a recap every 20 years. This one's a little bit overdue, but not worryingly so. But the issue that this amp does have is a big problem that's an easy solution. So notice I have the amp powered off, and it's plugged in, and I have the receptacle the amp is plugged into turned off. So I'm going to turn on the receptacle and leave this power switch down, off. Keep an eye on the indicator light over here. Notice that there is power even though this switch is off. Now let's power this on in standby. Oh, there's no mechanical change at all in the pot. Let me move the camera so you can see that switch. Not changing the pot, changing the switch. I just know it's broken internally. Let me move the camera. Okay, now we're looking at the power switch on the left and the standby switch on the right. And the amp is in standby, so there's not a full current draw through the power switch. Let's take it out of standby. And that switch is also a little bit loose. It's not long behind its brother in failing. And let's watch what happens, because this is kind of cool. I've got a current limiter. Let me turn that off. We're going to take a chance on blowing a fuse if necessary, because it will happen faster without that current limiter. There we go. Let's go ahead and power that back off. That wonderful smell. I love the smell of napalm in the morning. So let me change out these two switches real quick for some new carlings, and life will be much better for this amp. Okay, pet peeve of mine. This is how a lot of people will install a power switch or standby switch or various switches. This is how Fender mounted them, and this is how I mount them. And it doesn't take any longer to do it right, especially when I get amps in where one's at one level, the other is the other. Whichever way you decide to go, get them flush with each other and get them on the same level. It matters, not just in terms of those of us with OCD, but if the switch sticks out behind the rear of the amp, not so much with these short bat Fender switches, but on a Marshall or something which has a much longer bat, if it sticks out beyond the protection of the recess within the cabinet, then if someone were to drop the amp, that switch can get damaged. So let me go ahead and make this thing flush real quick. Isn't that better? Now let's plug a guitar in and connect this to a good load and see what's happening. All right, let's power this thing on. It is plugged into the wall. It is powered off here on the switches. Standby and power off. Let's apply power at the receptacle. The lamp no longer comes on. That's good. Let's power it on at the power switch. Now, wait a minute and bring it out of standby. It's not really needed on a twin reverb, but it doesn't hurt to, as a precaution, just in case some of the old parts are a little bit stressed. If this were a new amp built to this design, it would not matter. The capacitors are rated for more voltage than the B plus is, even with low load. All right, we can bring it out of standby now. We're going to see how it sounds, and we're going to watch make sure it doesn't leak any more of that magic smoke. I actually don't have to test this to make sure the magic smoke's not going to come out. That's a brand new Carling switch, and if there was enough current draw through that switch to damage this new switch, this fuse would have blown, or my current protection circuit would have lit up like a Christmas tree. Just the old switch physically failed inside, and this amp will be much healthier for a long time, and I hope to see it back within the next 5 years or so for a recap. But right now, it's sounding pretty good.